Recording in progress.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Wood,
Here.
Councilmember Richardson,
Excused.
Councilmember Crossman,
Here.
Councilmember Kangiser, here, Councilmember Hess,
Here.
Councilmember Palmer,
Here.
Councilmember Kaminsky, here, Mayor DePinto.
Here. Agenda approval. I believe we have a amendment or amended. Councilmember Crossman.
I move to amend the agenda by removing ordinance number 1123 and ordinance number 1124, so we can discuss them at a study session.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kangiser. Any discussion? Councilmember Crossman, do you want to suggest why or talk about?
Yeah, it would be nice to get a little more discussion on these code changes because they do affect a lot of businesses and people's livelihood. It costs money to enact these changes. So it'd be nice to have a little more discussion and with council and any public that wants to, voice their opinion on these changes and how it would affect them.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Motion on table is to remove ordinance number 1123 and ordinance number 1124 from tonight's agenda. It's been motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to special presentations. There are none, or excuse me, we need to get the amended agenda voted on. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda? Councilmember Kaminsky.
Move to approve the amended agenda.
Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Palmer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have an agenda. Start moving on to special presentations. There are none. Moving on to public comment. We have one card from Harry Miller. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify? Harry, please.
Happy to be here. I love it that you're the only one with the tag. You look so good, Stephanie. And people are starting to say your last name right. That's
We'll get it. We'll get it.
okay. Mayor, council, thank you for recognizing our senior center. I tell you what, seeing that smile on Jeannie Mills' face, short of buying her a puppy or a baby goat, when you handed her that plaque, she was just radiant. Thank you once again for the way you take care of your seniors in this town and the way you love us, the way you take extra time out to feed these people and to encourage them. We are in fact living our best life. And so thank you for the special recognition. Sorry I couldn't be there, but pretty happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Anyone online?
There are no hands raised.
All righty, moving on. Consent agenda. We have the August 13, 2024 regular meeting minutes and the June 2024 check register and position summary. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilor Kaminsky.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second by Councilor Palmer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to new business. We have a civil service appointment. This is a motion to approve my appointment for Kayla Russell for the Civil Service Commission. Kayla has been involved in the city for a while now. She's also worked or serves on the Parks Committee. She's been involved in different organizations locally here, including the Youth Baseball League. Is there any questions regarding my appointment on Ms. Russell? I'll look for a motion. Councilor
I have
Wood.
a comment. I think that's a darn good choice. You've found somebody that truly is invested in our community and spends a lot of time with her ear to the ground and finger on the pulse. And I commend you on your choice.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Any other discussion? Councilor Palmer.
Move to confirm Mayor Pinto's appointment of Kayla Russell to the Civil Service Commission.
Second that.
Second by Councilor Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Kayla. Moving on to ordinance number 1122, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. Stephanie.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. So I am starting off on page 35 of your agenda packet with the agenda item summary. So not a whole lot of items in this budget amendment. We are adding the public safety sales tax revenue. We did receive some art donations and we've got some new capital projects, some professional services for salary and labor negotiations, and some housekeeping items. So on page 36, I did brief Finance Committee on these items, but we've added a few more, so I'll just go through them real quick. As far as new items in the general fund, like I said, we're requesting $45,000 for additional labor negotiations and salary survey work going on. In the LID fund, we had a $2,500 consultant fee to close out that LID. In the general fund, we need a little bit more, $11,000 for medical benefits. The general fund also, we received $300 art donation, and so we are adding that revenue and that expenditure to the general fund, and that actually happened, I believe, during Prairie Days. Police is requesting $15,000 for an emergency management consultant. And then, like I said, we're estimating about $200,000 to be received this year in the public safety sales tax that was passed by Thurston County. A few housekeeping items in the municipal building fund. As you recall, we had budgeted to transfer one-time excess reserves from the general fund to the municipal building fund. We're just recording that revenue in the municipal building fund, and that will be earmarked for future general government buildings. In the sewer capital fund, we had a duplicate entry for a grant. We're going to remove that duplicate entry. And then in the affordable housing and the Yelm fiduciary funds, we had some small negative balances. One was $300, one was $2,000. And that was due to a timing issue of when we made payments versus when revenues came in. Both of those funds are pass-through funds. So like the fiduciary fund, people go to court and they pay fines and fees. We receive that money, but then we just have to pass it through to Thurston County. So those were just a little negative balances that the auditors said would be better just to clear it up. So we're doing that. As far as capital, we are including $90,000 in the municipal building fund for the Longmire Park study that I believe Cody's been talking to some council members about. We have the Roten Road project for $142,000 that's covered by TIB grant money. We have the Washington State DOT roundabout Bald Hill project for $300,000. That's a revenue and an expenditure. And then we have a grant for $280,000 for ADA sidewalk ramp compliance. In the stormwater, I think if you recall earlier this year, Cody was able to realize quite a bit of a savings to purchase a excavator.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So council approved that in the consent agenda earlier this year. We're just now adding it to our financial system along with the utility vehicle and the trailer. That's $118,000. And then we're carrying over the reader board project from the prior year. We actually, I think it's done or almost done. So that's carryover. And then we also noticed in the water improvements fund, we're removing $1.8 million in expenditures that will be pushed out to future year. So we're just going to take that out of the budget so Cody can't spend it. So that is it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions, comments? Council Wood?
I move we approve ordinance number 1124, amending Title 18 of the Yelm Municipal Code.
Second.
Is that correct?
No. Ordinance 1122.
I apologize. I retract that motion and I move to approve ordinance number 1122, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. Apologize.
I'll second.
Councilmember Crossman second. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Hess.
Just a quick question in reference to, because you skipped over the expenditure of $170,000 on ADA compliance. Is that what we've spent so far out of that grant?
So that's the expenditure we are expecting to spend in 2024. So the rest of it will probably carry over to next year.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? So motion second to approve ordinance number 1122, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Council.
We're going to go over to the new, it's item E on your agenda, professional services agreement with RWD Landscape Architects for the Longmire Park Master Plan. Brad.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So what you have in front of you is a professional services agreement with RWD Landscape Architects for the master plan of the Longmire Park. So this, I think you guys have all heard about in the past. We have some drainage issues out there that we need to take care of. But beyond that, we thought, why don't we come up with a master plan? What are all of our hopes and dreams for Longmire Park? What can we do on top of the drainage issue to make this a better place to play and all year round? Because right now, as you all know, it's so muddy out there that in the winter time, it's worthless. So, so this master plan comes with a lot of pieces. We're talking about turf on the infields. Obviously the drainage, we're talking about a lighting plan. What RWD is giving us is basically setting us up to go after funding. Now, this is going to be a mini-year, mini-phase project. As funds are available, we'll go after them and chip away at this. So we are budgeted for, as of 5 minutes ago, to complete this master plan. So along with this, he provides design survey and geotechnical report. So that gives us an idea of what we're working with, what needs to be excavated, what needs to come back in to make these fields drain. So there's ADA compliance that we want to look at. We want to look at the dugouts, the backstops. We want to, over time, facelift Longmire Park. So the price tag on this master plan is a not to exceed amount of $87,294.40.
Councilmember Crossman.
The RC track that's being built out there be included in that plan?
I'm sorry, I was getting
Cody, Adrian. Would a RC track that's being constructed out there be included in that? To make sure that is put in?
Yes, that will be part. Yes, we will work around that because last I heard he was getting started out there.
Yeah, he's actually got gravel down, rocks down. He has another delivery. So it's coming together. If you've been out there, it looks like it's going to be pretty cool.
I need to go out there and look at it. But yeah, we're going to work around that because we want that to stay. So.
Councilor Hess.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. What you're putting together here is the master plan that over time, just like we have our step plan or various other things, that these are items that when we have the money, we can go ahead and start doing.
Right. And a big part of this is logically figuring out how to phase this. And that's kind of a big part of this plan is how do we phase this to where we're not, screwing up baseball season every year. Let's think about the most logical way to go about this.
Questions, comments? Councilor Hess.
Well, I can understand trying not to interrupt the seasons, but also making what I would also appreciate seeing in the master plan is the best way to go about doing it so that you don't all of a sudden put down brand new grass and then somebody comes along and goes, oh, hey, we need to put the drainage ditch in there now and dig up.
Absolutely. And that's one of my biggest concerns. We don't want to do work twice. So let's figure out the best way to do this and move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Kaminsky.
And Brad, you said that without this plan, we can't go for funding.
It makes it a lot more difficult. So this kind of sets us up. So when we go for funding, we can hand this beautiful master plan to a funding agency, and it goes a long way.
Any other questions, comments? Councilor Wood?
I'm just, I'm a little, I want to be a little cautious about this because we're $87,000 to come up with a plan to build something when we can afford to build it. I've seen this situation many times. I'm on transportation. It's an ongoing thing. It's been happening for decades. Plan and spend the money and get this plan, and we're going to have it on the shelf. It comes time to implement the plan, but all the rules have changed. So now the plan really doesn't hold any water. You mentioned about being able to kind of check out what's going on out there. I have to believe there's some sort of information left over. It was the Corps of Engineers was out there initially when this was out there. So yes, I'm just the situation with a lot of other things in our community. I know we've been spending a lot of money on parks, a lot of money on all these wonderful things, and I know we all drive these roads. And I'm not talking about the highway. That's another discussion that we need to have as well. But all of our surface roads, and it seems like what we're getting from you folks is a lot more parks and things like that. Nobody's wanting to have that conversation when we do talk about them. We talk about how they're off in the future, and yet here we are talking about spending this money now to prepare for something that we're not sure how we're going to pay for. I mean, it's great. Parks are great. I firmly believe in them. I think they're fantastic. But to get through the parks, we need roads. And I think that our roads have been overlooked. And I just think I think we're once again putting the cart ahead of the horse here. And I think we really ought to reconsider spending this kind of money on doing something like this right now when we have a lot of other things that I believe are priority.
Councilor Hess?
And I understand Councilmember Wood, his concern, but I believe those are two different funds that we're dealing with, right? Two different fund sites. So the roads, the money's being spent appropriately. This is for a totally different fund site. We couldn't use that money for roads at all. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Wood?
And I appreciate that, but it isn't about the funding as much as I'm concerned about the time being spent on chasing funding for projects that may not be, well, in my opinion, quite as priority as other areas where I think we could be putting more effort and emphasis on trying to locate some funding, because I can tell you there's funding out there. We're just not squeaking enough about it.
We've gotten quite a bit of funding.
Well, no, we have.
We've gotten more funding in the last few years.
I'm not saying we haven't. I'm just saying there's a whole lot more out there. And I think the position that we're in right now compared to the communities around us.
I mean, we're not going to be going too far into it, but we are going to look into hiring someone just for grants and funding for us. We'll talk about that in our budget updates, but there is money that we're getting a lot of money right now, but we're going to go for even more. There's definitely money out there that we could be going after. So, yeah. Councilor Kaminsky.
I'd like to move to authorize Mayor DePinto to sign the professional services agreement with RWD Landscape Architects in the not to exceed amount of $87,294.40 for the Longmire Park Upgrades Master Plan.
Councilor Hess, second by Councilor Hess. Is there any further discussion? Let's do a roll call vote. Councilor Wood, how do you vote? Councilor Crossman?
Yes.
Councilor Kingheiser?
Yes.
Councilor Hess?
Yes.
Councilor Palmer?
Yes.
Councilor Kaminsky?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, thank you. Thank you, Brad. Moving on to resolution number 650, update traffic facilities charge. We open the public hearing on this resolution 650 of the 2024 transportation facilities charge at 6:20. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, so in front of you is, speaking of roads, in front of you is the traffic facilities charge update. When council adopted the STIP, I believe it was about a month and a half ago, what we do after the STIP's adopted, we take all those numbers for how much all those projects will cost, and then we update our traffic facilities charge. So traffic facilities charge.
What is STIP?
STIP is 6-year transportation improvement plan. So what we do after we have that STIP, it has different prices for all those projects. So this road costs this much to build all these. Then there's this whole formula you go through. The formula is really long. You can see it in there. You put these numbers into the formula. The formula spits out a new number that you charge new development that is going to be bringing impact to the roads. So every time a person or a company or business builds something, they have some amount of impact to our roads. We take those assessment fees, so that new fee you see, and we charge it per trip that they'll generate, per PM trip, which is, post-meridian trip, that's afternoon. So anytime they generate a trip, they pay this fee. That fee goes directly towards the STIP. And that STIP, we start doing projects on that STIP based in order of precedence. So example, Roten Road is on the STIP. So money would go towards building Roten Road. The roundabout at Morris Road is on the STIP. The Mosman Avenue is on the STIP. There's a bunch of things that are on the STIP that this will pay for. And as that money comes in, the idea is when the city's fully built over 6 years, it should be able to build every one of these projects, is how that formula works. This is the first time we've updated the STIP in, I believe, 9 years. They're supposed to update it every year. We just kind of got a hold of it to do that. And so now it'll be something every time you approve your STIP, you're going to now approve a traffic facilities charge shortly afterwards. And that number every year can go up and down depending on how projects cost. It's just based every year. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on traffic facility charge.
I'm just looking for some clarification on the, you mentioned a traffic facility charge to the amount of $3,449 per peak trip.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. is called peak PM trips. That's when you have the most traffic in town, right? So what we do is every trip they generate during that time, they pay for because they are adding to the burden of the roads. So that helps us build more roads, bigger roads, wider roads, and spread roads. So it's anytime they add traffic to that trip time, they have to pay for that.
So, but I guess what I'm curious about is the $3,449 per peak trip. Does that mean every car that is, so if they build a new apartment community and there's 150 people or 150 ERUs or?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes. Yes, for
is that $3,500 per trip per day?
Close. So apartments they're less than, they're like 0.75, so they don't generate a full trip. A single family home would it generates one trip. So a single family home would pay one of those. A Costco might pay 200 of those. It's just how many trips are generated. They do their own traffic study to say how many trips are generated. We don't tell them, they do a study saying this
one-time charge.
It's a one-time charge they do right when they build, when they construct.
And I apologize. What are we presently at?
Just over 1,400
on the peak.
On the peak, on the number of dollars that we charge right now, $1,400
on the peak trips.
The peak PM trips, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the clarification.
And who's paying for this, Cody? Is this the every taxpayer or?
Any new development. So anything that's coming in with new construction, generating new trips. So this won't even apply to if you say you have a business, you're expanding it. If you are expanding, X amount of feet, you wouldn't probably have to pay this, or you may have to pay like a quarter of a trip if you're getting enough that, hey, we're going to bring in 500 new customers and you might generate. And there's also, I'm going to get really technical with you for a second. There's also a thing called passerby trips. So if someone's already driving through, and they can show science that does this, if somebody's already driving through Yelm and they're just now stopping at your business, but they're not new traffic generated, you can offset some of your trips. You're like, hey, I'm not generating a new traffic person. This is someone that already lives here that's just driving by. Now they're going to come into my business versus going to that business down the street. So there's a formula to do all of that. It's way more complicated than I know, but there's some basic line like houses. We know a house, if you build a brand new house, that's one new trip to Yelm because that house wasn't here before. So.
Any questions, comments? Is there any questions or comments from the public on this? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:24. And council, if there's any more deliberation or discussion, do so now. Otherwise, I'll look for a motion. Councilor Rossman.
Move resolution number 650.
Second by Councilor Palmer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Cody. And council, moving on to old business. We don't have any scheduled. Moving on to standing council committee reports, starting with the Public Safety Committee. Okay. Public Services Committee.
We met today, talked about a few of the things, talked about with the code changes that are coming up that we had as number 1123, 1124. I brought up some of my concerns with the cost to businesses that those code requirements would cost businesses. So that's why it'd be nice to move that to a study session so we can look at that a little bit further. And then we talked about annexations that are coming down, some rezoning that's coming up before us for a vote here shortly. Then annexations, that'll be good to kind of clean up our borders that Thurston County wants us to do. Because if anybody's ever looked at a city map and how the city lines go, it's very odd. In my mind, it's odd. It's like,
Unique.
So it is unique, yes. So the county wants to clean those lines up, so they're more than willing. So we're going to look at that shortly, and then that's going to be zoning coming up from other areas. So yeah.
There you go. Finance Committee,
No meeting?
General Government Committee.
Yes, we met today. We reviewed our mayor council member protocol manual, and we're getting a bit further in that, so that's exciting. We talked a little bit about outside agency requests. We actually had 6 applications this year, so very excited about that. More money was requested than ever before. Last year was the first year that they had done it, and they granted 28,000. This year, big asks are 208,000. Next week, we'll be looking forward to the presentations from these applicants during our study session. So it'll be kind of neat to hear what they all have to say and what they're bringing. We had a packed meeting. Our 640 acre update. The gentlemen that meet weekly are excited because communications are opening up and presentation options will be happening on September 24th to the council. It'll be a type of presentation that there's no voting. It's just a lot of great information to be processing and to carry through for discussion on October 1st. They also talked about 101 presentations, like putting together information so that you could know a little bit more about like what a council member does or what a new employee would do or a new committee, that type of a thing, being super transparent, being able to put together like slides and videos so that you can click and just be able to know a little bit more about what happens behind the doors and expectations. I think that's about it. It was a packed, fun meeting.
All righty, thank you. Moving on to Mayor, City Administrator, staff reports. Scott.
Yep, thanks, Mayor. Just we've been busy with labor negotiations. We have all 3 still going. And budget work, we've been doing budget work, and we also have an audit exit meeting September 9th. You can email Stephanie if you want to attend. I believe that is a Tuesday, Monday at 11. September 9th. That'll be your audit exit.
All right, thank you. Last week I met with our there's County Auditor, Mary Hall. She was wanting to talk about election security, what they're doing, cooperation between local municipalities. Nothing too crazy. Want to say thank you to our IT department. Jason and Aaron were rock stars getting not only that sign that you see, it's in front of the Boys and Girls Club working. It took a lot of time to do that. Thank you too. And also when our power went out, they had to come out and make sure that we were up and running and our facilities were all good to go, and they did so. So thanks again for taking the time to do that, Jason and Aaron. Other than that, striping continues on the different roads in Yelm. Do you know where we're going to be doing next or what's been completed?
MP Road is done. So if you've been down MP Road, it's newly striped. I believe Creek Street is next and Walmart Boulevard. So I don't know if that in order or not, but it'll be those 2, Creek and Walmart.
Awesome. All right, moving on to council member reports. Starting with Councilmember Wood.
I don't have anything to report. My meetings start next week, and I got a bunch of them. We have a budget, a special budget session, if you will, with
Transportation.
TCOM.
Oh, TCOM.
Yeah, with TCOM, and transportation is a special meeting this month as well, or September as well. It's got a lot of good stuff coming.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Crossman.
Attended a couple of ribbon cuttings here recently. People on board here, and there's something else I can't remember. And so,
That did remind me, happy birthday to Councilmember Kaminsky.
oh, happy birthday.
Is that everything? Councilmember?
Yeah, that's everything important.
All right, Councilmember K-Geiser.
I attended the government committee meeting. That's about all I have to report.
Okay, Councilmember Hess.
Since last meeting with the open house that we had, it was very well attended, I think. And hearing from some of the community members in there, they want to see that more often. They really appreciated having people there to answer their questions, to go where they could get discussions and be able to learn and get more of actual truth and not just the telephone tag game of this is what starts and all of a sudden we have something else going on. And so everybody who was there, want to say thank you to all the staff that had taken their time to be there and all. Other than that, nothing else.
Councilmember Palmer.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for helping me with my committee meetings while I was away with the Army. So nothing to report as I wasn't there, but thanks for the help on that.
Fair. Councilor Kaminsky.
No additional meetings for me.
All right. Then there is no executive session scheduled. Look for a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor, Councilmember Palmer, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.